Is teaching children spiritual values, and to discuss this great topic is an amazing couple. They actually don't need an introduction. You know them, you've seen them, and they are here to share their beautiful story and ideas with us. None other than Engineer Brev and Charity Byarugaba. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Byarugabas right about now. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Happy to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Please say hello to our viewers and then we will continue with the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us here. Good evening, viewers.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Charity Byarugaba. Thank you for having us.
Wow, happy to have you, the Byarugabas. For starters, you look so matched. We want to know. We want to know who matched the other. You know, like a design, I see the blue is popping in someone's shirt. Anyways, you're so smart.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
who matched us?
Charity matched. The larger part of the matching. She did the larger part of the matching.
Charity did the matching.
Charity, you have the spirit of a designer inside you, eh?
I think it's in the ladies that it's us to do these things, to decide how the gentleman looks and how you look. But also I think it's something that we do a lot, especially when we are going to show up together. Okay. Even our advert, we were matched. If you check carefully. Yes.
Mama.
Intentionally.
You will give us tips here. So anyways, how long have you been married, and would you please tell us about yourselves before we start the show?
Right, thank you. Brev Byarugaba and Charity Byarugaba. We just made 20 years in marriage.
Boom.
January.
Wow. Wow.
10th January this year.
Congratulations. 20 years.
We have 4 children, 2 girls, 2 boys. And yeah, God has blessed us a lot. We thank Him.
Amen.
And he did mention that the 2 girls and 2 boys, 3 of them are teenagers. One of them will be graduating from leaving teenagerhood this year. So very soon we'll have a 20-year-old in our home. After 9 months later. You know those things of 9 months later? Someone will be 20 years old. Yes, so we have 3 teenagers and a 9-year-old who will turn 10 this year.
Wow, how is it like, you know, most people say, you know, parenting teenagers is not an easy stage. How is it going on your side?
Maybe I go first and then he will conclude. I think I've said it even on another TV that I just wonder where the years went. I woke up and our daughter is going to turn 20 this year, the older child.
Wow.
But I think that the best thing has been that they are our friends. So parenting teenagers for us has been a friendship journey. Okay. Of course, children come with different challenges. So you have those who are hyper, more excitable than others. But it's been a short journey for me, if you ask me, because the older is turning 20, the next one is turning 18, then the next one is turning 16. So that means that the top 2 will be living teenagerhood in 2 years' time. But I think also it's because we've had present parents. I think he would like to add on how it has been on his part, because I think he's been more present in a bigger part of those years, because at the time I was not around.
And he was more
present.
Okay, I get it.
I was
now.
Out of the country working, and he was more present in their lives. So maybe he can also contribute to that part of how has it been like.
Mr. Byarugaba, how has it been as a man in the house?
For me, it was not complicated, because my background was well prepared. That's one of the reasons I am grateful to my mother. Is there's nothing a girl did that I didn't do.
Wow.
So the training was a good foundation. Even when she was not around, it was easy for me to look after the children, still work and everything. I didn't feel any bigger problem.
Wow, I think that is a very big lesson for us to learn, that we should train our boys, our children, our boys to do everything and anything, because you never know what the future may hold, you know. So
the time I went to work outside Uganda, first of all, I left immediately after our wedding. Like, we got married, 3 weeks later, I left. Came back after 8 months. Then we started our marriage. Then we had 3 children, then I left again. But when I left, I think Nathan was like 2 years, 3 years.
wow.
Yeah. So you leave a husband with a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. Those were the ages. And he did a good job. So that's why I think that when you have parents who can balance each other, support each other on either side, so the children know that I can run to dad, I can run to mom, both of you contribute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, now Charity, I'm so very much interested in what you have said. Often we hear people say, you know, when you have little children, as a mother, it's important you sit down and parent your children. The rest will come later. How easy was it for you to make a decision of saying, I'm leaving my 3-year child and go purchase this and then come back? How easy was it, or how hard was it? And share your experience.
I'll not say it was easy. It wasn't. And I remember Nation Media gave me an opportunity. When I got the letter, I spoke to HR and said, if my husband says no, I will turn down the opportunity. So this opportunity is based on the yes from my husband. So I went home and I showed him the letter. He looked at me. And that's why it's good to get married to your friend. He was my friend and he knew me from university. He looked at me and said, if you lose this opportunity, you may never get it again. For where I see your career going, again, I would say that husbands are heads of families. They are leaders. For me, I say husbands are leaders, they are priests, they are heads, and they are supposed to be guiding us into the future of the wife and the future of the general family. He looked at me and said, for where I see your career going, if you lose this opportunity, you may never get it again.
Wow.
So, give me a chance to look after the children. Go, and when I can't take it anymore, I will tell you. Sign this letter. That was the tick. But when I got the other side, it wasn't easy. I used to miss the children. There was a particular time our firstborn was in a jumping castle, and I remember we spoke because I would talk about values. So we're trying to develop some values of allowing the children to play with other children, socialize. And I told him, if they don't go, you know that Green Festival, which is in Kololo, if they don't go for this festival, they will think that the festival is tagged to mommy. And yet the festival, we always agree together that they should go. So I told him, please help me and take the children so that they don't miss me so much. You know, husbands and prayer. I think he felt in his spirit that something was not going to be right. He said, I'm not comfortable, but let me take them. I think he put, every child had an uncle. That he will tell you his version. Every child had an uncle watching. I think his brothers were staying with us at that time. Uncle was watching one, and our home assistant was watching the third one. Wow. Sadly, one of them a child fell on them and they got an injury in the arm. The arm broke. Is that the correct
Serious
English?
fracture.
Yes.
Sorry.
So that was the moment I was like, what is this? I asked my boss if I could come back. My boss said, you can't come back. And I can tell you, he nursed that child until I got leave. I remember coming to my child and finding my child bathing themselves with one hand, and the other hand was on a sling. And I tried, can I help? No, mom, I know how to help myself. That is the moment I'll never forget. So we had those moments. Like the good ones, the difficult ones, the ones you're like, did I make the right choice? But we thank God. That moment also ended. Yeah.
Wow.
So it wasn't easy, but it was really because he
wasn't supportive.
He was available, and I had watched him all the years and how he was looking after the children, and I knew he would be okay.
Wow.
But of course there was family support, my parents as well.
Exactly.
His parents,
Yeah. Thank you very much, Charity. So you mentioned that if he had said no, you wouldn't take a step.
No.
Okay, thank you. And thank you very much, Mr. Byarugaba. But to take your part of this, did you ever feel like you made the right decision, or you kept regretting, I wish my wife was here, maybe to do this, to do the other? What was your experience in that?
Yeah, apart from missing her,
Charity, you were missed.
I was
the rest
missed.
were simple tasks to me. Even that time I was extremely busy, but I had to plan my schedule very well. I would pick them from school, get them home, make sure they have bathed, they have eaten, and we had also a supportive house assistant. And it wasn't really a big problem. I didn't feel regrets. I didn't regret why she went, because I knew the picture, the what our vision was. That was part of the vision. We are building towards that, achieving that vision.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't believe in monopolizing everything in the home. We are partners and we work together to raise our children.
Exactly.
We have a target, we have a vision, we have sat down even at the wedding time. We sat and put together some vision and what we look forward to see in the years to come. So for me, it was a great opportunity to see her grow in her career, because I knew it was a short time, and she will come back and we shall be together again. So I didn't really have major problems with that.
Okay. Wow. So the both of you, how did you deal with public opinion? Because people will always come out and ask, no, you're supposed to be with your wife, you're supposed to be with your husband. Did you ever get that? And how did you deal with it in case it came?
Yeah, people have different opinions, but they didn't choose my wife for me.
Wow, I like that.
And regardless of what
Charity,
regardless of what they think or say, as long as the two of us are in agreement, they can talk. We shall continue with our journey, God being our helper.
Amen, amen. And I love that so very much. For as long as the two of you are in agreement, the rest, timwagala kumanya.
It's a journey of two.
It's a journey of two indeed.
Yeah.
But with the third person, the third stream,
With
the
Jesus.
three what?
The third person.
The third person, there's a way they call it in the Bible.
It's a chord.
The three chord, yes. The three stringed chord. I was looking for the word. Yes.
Oh, wow. Anyways, thank you very much. So our topic, it is teaching children spiritual values. But for starters, a viewer out there would want to first know, what are the spiritual values? Bring it closer to everyone's level to understand what the spiritual values are. And after that, we would want to know, if I don't know about the spiritual values, how am I going to be able to teach my children?
I can start. So, the same way a company has values. When you start a company, you give it a vision. You say, this is where we plan to go. The next thing is you give it a mission. This is how we plan to reach our destination.
Exactly.
Now the values are like the compass. If you remember, was it SST? The compass, which shows you direction. So the values are the ones that give us direction for where we are heading. The values are like the foundation that we use to grow our spiritual life. The values are like where you're heading. If you're heading somewhere, this is how I'm going to head there. So our relationship with God, it's like a bridge kind of. I'm trying to use simple language so that when we go to the actual teaching, it's easy. So it's like, what is that bridge that is going to help us to have a good relationship with people? What are we going to teach our children that is going to help them to navigate life? Those are values. How are you going to go through life? How are you going to grow? How are you going to move from one step to the next step? Those are values. Yes. So if you were digging, I'm looking for the simplest English. If you are going to dig and put a plant inside there, what is the nutrient? A seed, sorry. Yes, a seed. What is that nutrient that is going to help the seed to grow so that tomorrow your child is valuable to the world? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
In summary.
Yeah.
So the question also touched the parents. If you don't have those values, how will you teach them? Of course, you can't give what you don't have.
Absolutely.
So if you are aiming at teaching the children spiritual values, you yourself must exhibit those values. But also another small disclaimer is it's not automatic that when you teach them, they will automatically take them up. At some point, you have to allow their independence in terms of thinking, in terms of reasoning, but you do your job to guide. This is what is expected of you. This is where we are coming from. Normally, I like using that analogy. We sit normally on the table and we tell them, try to remember where you have come from. Look at where you are now and determine where you want to be in the future, but not only the future, but specific future. In other words, there has to be some timelines to evaluate yourself and see, have I achieved what I'm being told to do? We sit and evaluate ourselves, say, okay, these 3 months or this year, or somebody is celebrating, for example, a birthday. And the biggest question normally is, what are you celebrating in this birthday? Yes, you are born, you are alive, but what achievements do you have to show? And this is to do mainly with values and how they have moved from A to B. Yeah.
I would like to add something very small. I liked his disclaimer. The disclaimer said, yes, you may teach the values, but it's not necessarily true that your children will take up these values.
That's true.
We have a new problem that has entered into parenting, and it has brought an issue of depression. You find parents are depressed because they've done their best.
Yeah, and it's not yielding.
They have prayed. We tell parents to pray, they've prayed. They've taken children to we are going to talk about these things. They've prayed, they've fasted, they've taken children to Sunday school, they've protected, they've done everything that you can teach a child. But the child turns out different. So that disclaimer was important.
But then
beyond us,
what brings that? Because already myself, I'm also asking that the same question.
Yes.
You've done everything.
Yes.
You've prayed. You know, like you stated. Why? What causes that?
Many things. Environment. Yes, you're not in control of the environment. May the lawyer who died yesterday rest in peace. We woke up in the morning.
Rest in peace.
Nobody planned that a truck is going to fall on a car and a lawyer is going to die. We just woke up and saw a truck falling on a car and a person died. No one wakes up and imagines that their child is going to jump off a building when you've sent them abroad to study. We are here, we are parents. We dream that our children will study abroad. We work hard that our children will study abroad. But there's something called the environment. We are not in control of the environment. Environment local, environment external. But also, let's not forget that the devil is also alert. The Bible tells us that the enemy is like a roaring lion looking for who to devour. And children of Christians, our children are a target. So if you're a parent and you're watching me right now, we have been posted as watchmen. Watchmen to look after our children, our cities. And when you're praying, don't pray for only your child. Pray for the children of the world. So there's the devil, there's the environment. You don't wake up and know who your child is going to befriend. We are here at Family TV. Our children are in boarding school. Do we know who their best friends are?
No.
Today you wake up and children of Christians are on drugs. They didn't intend it. But it's not in our power. But what you do as a parent, use the time that God has given you. Plant the seed. Plant the seed. God will water it. One day it will bear fruit.
Amen.
We've seen children turn around before. And they can turn around.
Exactly. I at least I love that word of hope. Plant the seed, the Lord will water it. So how can parents and educators effectively teach children about spiritual values?
Okay, first of all, the educators come from a family. They are all parents in a way. Some are parents from as young as maybe teenage time. There are those who have grown up without parents, but they have looked after their siblings. And there are those that have grown out in a good way and find just everything flowing. But the core thing is, where do those educators come from? They definitely come from a family. So we all have to look at it from a family point of view. It starts from home.
Yeah. Charity begins from
And therefore, before you go to teach in a school or an institute or whatever, at whatever level, do I have these values that I'm teaching my core family that I'm also going to replicate somewhere else? So it has to be intentional.
Absolutely.
Right now we are talking about parenting and those values, but how many actually are intentional about this? So not everybody, some of them are said to whom it may concern. Really. I brought these lives to the world.
I did my part.
They are forces to go to, they'll be disciplined from there.
They'll be disciplined at school.
Yes. And you expect somebody else to train your child. So it has to be on purpose that everybody tries to talk to these children from that angle of being a parent before you go to the
educator
institution. And what are the benefits? First of all, you need to know where do you want this child to be in the future. Okay, I want this child to be here. So what are the avenues? So you work backwards. But you have to dedicate time to do that. You have to dedicate time to pray about it. You have to dedicate time to also look at how the environment, she talked about the environment, analyze the environment and see how do I navigate through. Who are my colleagues that I can consult and see how they have parented their children. So it is a collective effort, but also when you look at everything, it comes back to you as a parent. What effort have you put in? So for me, it has to be a deliberate effort. Otherwise, if you wait and say the school will train this child, it won't come out the way it's supposed to. evaluate yourself as a parent. We started here, we are here now. What have we achieved? Is this child able to follow these values on their own? You work out a time frame for evaluation and see, I'm achieving this, you tick off. And also, it takes presence
Exactly. Yeah.
in the children's lives. If you are not present, you are not going to delegate me to parent your children. I also have my own luggage to carry. So the presence is very key.
Yeah, and thank you very much, Mr. Byarugaba. One time I had someone say, "Nange, the holidays are here. Kids are back home," and I'm like, "Wow, you should be happy that they have returned home." You know, some be happy when the children are actually out there at school and not at home. You see, they prefer teachers, you know, parenting on their behalf. But you brought it up so well that it's intentionality and it takes presence. You have to be there. No one will parent your children. It's your responsibility. Thank you very, very, very much. You have something to add, Charity?
Yes, I like the fact that he put a foundation to this whole topic of how do you teach. Yeah. So you teach through simple things that you do at home. For example, the simple prayer at home. Even just praying for food and asking children to pray for food. It's an entry point of telling them that, you know what, you need the value of faith, that God is present. You need to thank, you know, when someone gives you something, did you thank auntie? You know, did you thank? So you use examples, you use stories, you tell them stories, you tell them about your family, you go for trips together, you take them to camps. For us, ours don't miss camps. They've started camps from when they were children up to now. But that is investment. When you were saying presence, there is also investment. We have some of our friends who, actually, one of my friends, for her, she decided not to be employed, to be self-employed, so that she can be present for her children. And so she takes them for everything, swimming.
Wow.
Yeah, so they can compete globally. She takes them for keyboard lessons.
I love that. That's so cute. I know. Thank you very much, Charity. We will go off for a short break. This show returns in a bit. Please don't change the station.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV, enriching lives.
when you are sealed in the Lord, the devil looks at you and you are glittering. The devil locates a crown. For any person that the devil locates with a crown, the devil will never eat them because they belong to the Most High.
Friends, don't you give up in any form of hardship. Don't you give up, for Jesus encourages us and says, even at the point of losing your life, for the sake of Christ and the gospel, it is okay.
My dear brothers and sisters, let us remember that God is still reigning on his throne in heaven above. And let us trust in him. Let us rely on him. Let us pray each and every time. Let us not give up on showing ourselves out into the world that the Lord Jesus Christ is still King and he still reigns.
You and I are here to reign on the earth, not to complain, not to grumble, not to play victim, not to quarrel, but to reign on the earth.
I pray, Father, that you will release the fourth man to destroy every fire, to protect your people who are in every furnace and set them free in the name of Jesus.
Welcome back from that short break. We are still here with the family hour. Our topic this evening, in case you just joined in, is teaching children spiritual values. My name is Claire Bwenje, your world's favorite host, and in the studio I am with Mr. and Mrs. Byarugaba. They are doing great. Wow. So before we went for a break, they were actually sharing with us how parents and educators can effectively teach children about spiritual values. And they mentioned that it takes intentionality, it takes presence for you to be able to nurture and train your children the right way. So back to you, the Byarugabas. It's a great pleasure to have you here. You're doing us so well. So what are some practical ways to incorporate spiritual teachings into daily activities with children?
Daddy will go first.
Okay. She talked about the environment. And first of all, our children need to know that whatever we have on planet Earth that we claim to be ours is actually not ours. We are just stewards.
That's true.
And much as we need everything on Earth for our living, the planet Earth also needs us to maintain it in a good way so that it produces what we need. Now, if they don't understand that, you will realize there's a lot of degradation in the environment. There's a lot of tasks, not tasks, but the behaviors that bring the environment down. And they need, first of all, appreciate that we are part of the environment. We are part of the bigger, something bigger than just the planet Earth. And that is God. So everything comes from God, and therefore we must work to please God. We follow through what Jesus did, how he was caring, everything was to do with God, and that as a foundation, we start from there and we start working towards what points to God. These values we are talking about, at the end of the day, are to help us to be in line with what God expects of us. So for me, the environment is very key, and as a starting point, getting to know that everything is coming from up, and we need to work hard towards that. Yes.
Wow, thank you very much. I'm just reminded, one child was asked, so where do we get the eggs from? They come from our fridge. And I'm like, wow. So when you mentioned that we actually have to tell our children where we come from and why what we have cometh from God. They have to understand that we are actually here as stewards. We have to take time and explain to our children to understand certain things. So thank you very much. Back to you, Chiret.
To say engineers are engineers.
They are
just gentleman is explaining from engineering realm, but I like when he talked about the environment, I said that's an engineer talking. And by the way, that's how our home is when he's explaining about values, about life, about hard work. Why are you degrading the earth? Why are you misusing God's land? Why are you not taking care of this plant? Tomorrow this plant is going to give us matoke.
Exactly.
Do you understand? Why aren't you weeding when he's cutting grass with the boys? Why aren't you cutting this grass? Because if you don't cut this grass, tomorrow, if you don't remove these weeds, tomorrow you won't have the greens. You get it? So I think that was a very good starting
exactly.
point.
Yeah, children have to understand
yes,
that we are actually stewards
of God's time. We are stewards of God's property. We are stewards of our own lives. God has given us our lives. If we misuse them by not feeding well, by not exercising, by not praying, by not loving people, we are not doing well. So what can I add? I think I can add some of the practical ways. After telling them that we are just stewards, then now you take it to the next level. For us mothers, me, how I do it, from when they were young, we would sing verses. I would create a song around the verse. If I want them to learn that verse, it becomes a what? A song. The other thing that really has worked for us is Christian movies. I think our flagship movie that just hit it hard in the house was War Room. When we watched War Room, our firstborn, I think, was around 14, 15, I think. I did not know the impact that War Room had on her until I woke up and her bedroom, the whole wall was a war room.
Wow.
She would write prayer requests for the whole family, post them on the wall, and then say, this is what I'm praying for. So when I would walk in, I would read. Of course, when she's not around, I read, I go, we talk a lot. They don't know when they're reporting to daddy. They think we are not talking. I tell daddy, she's praying for this. Do you know she's even praying that we get money for this? If let's say they want us to do something bigger, maybe daddy wanted to buy a bigger car, they write it, So just a simple movie. We didn't know the impact, but it had such impact. And when the girl did it, now the others also copied. Of course, not at her level, because for her that's her level. We have talked about camps, I think, but also friends. One of the things we do, particular birthdays, when he said that a birthday is accountability time, he wasn't joking. When it's your birthday, you account what have you achieved. For us, we are celebrating you. What are you celebrating? So there are some key birthdays when we invite godparents. Yes. And then also, I didn't tell you, we also have a WhatsApp group for godparents. Every child, we have a WhatsApp group.
Things are that serious.
Child one, yes, intentionality. Emanuela's godparents, Jordan's godparents, Nathan's godparents, Christiana's godparents.
Wow.
Then, when they finish school, we say they are done with P3. They haven't performed well. This one is sick. This one is her birthday. Yes. So that we're not parenting alone.
I know.
The other group we tell is his family and my family. Yes, we put pictures on his family, on my family. This one has performed well. This one, please pray for them. This one needs help. This one has started bidding. This one is doing business. This one is, involve other people.
Wow.
It's not a lonely journey.
Let me also go and check on my godchildren. So how can parents and educators, I'm still on educators because engineer explained that thing very well. How can parents and educators help children develop a sense of gratitude, kindness, forgiveness, compassion, and empathy?
There's a time I sat with one of our children, and a friend of his had lost, I think, a parent or something around family. So I asked him how he felt. So, of course, he was devastated because this was his best friend. And I asked him, now that you feel that way, somebody feels the same. Now you need to be compassionate. So I'm using that scenario to bring out some of the values to him. And this can be done differently for different families. But certain things that happen should become lessons and opportunities for us to bring out those values, love, compassion, many of them. But also, I don't know if we're talking about educators, but I think the administration, the Ministry of Education, if they could look at something to do with the values as a separate, the way they have revised the education system, the curriculum now. Because we're having so many problems in not only public service, but generally everywhere. Because probably of the upbringing of these children. I will just bring out an example for P3 chap campaigning for prefectship, and they know that if they don't distribute sweets or something, they will not win. So the corruption starts from that point. So it will be difficult for somebody at that level to grow up and finish university without thinking that they cannot win something, they cannot acquire something without compromising the system. So to me, if we started from as low as that with something embedded in the curriculum to do with values, it would go a long way to bring out good citizens of this country. And I think that would be a win for the country at large.
Yeah.
Yes. So there has, I think, there has to be a deliberate effort in that angle. People who are reviewing curriculum, they need to, I think, look at that as something that is left behind, and they incorporate something to do with values.
Wow, thank you very much. And you actually talked about this thing of, giving sweets here, in a primary school, I think it's bad training. Those are the future robbers of tomorrow, yeah? Charity, you have something to add on this?
I was going to just add something very little, that the older parents need to get more involved. So the grandparents need to get involved in the lives of their grandchildren. Yes.
Wow.
Because I feel like in some families there is a disconnect. Children come to Kampala, they forget to take children back to the grandparents. Yet these grandparents have values they can teach. Values of generosity. You go to the village, your grandmom packs for you
bananas, jackfruit.
There's a particular village I go to where my auntie is, and she packs everything. She packs banana, she packs anything. Not that she has a lot, but she's teaching generosity. And our children like going to the village because they see it practically. So I think parents should take children back to grandparents and just give them a chance to speak to these children. I find that many times when our children have had major crossroads, they've had times when they've not really been perfect, and so we've taken them to grandparents.
Wow.
But when I listen to what how the grandparents explain something that I've struggled with, I'm like, so why was that so hard? But my parents explain it differently. So I think we should allow our grandparents also to parent with us. Yes. Those who have them.
Yeah. Like it is said, Bukade Magezi.
Yeah.
So how can children be encouraged to explore and develop their own spiritual beliefs and values?
Like I said at the beginning, the independence is also very key, because we can pretend to be teaching them values, but they have brains also. They watch.
Exactly.
They may not tell you, but they watch. They have probably gone to their friends' homes, they have seen the life there, they compare. And you know, these children are smart sometimes. They can pretend to listen and accept what you are telling them. But you turn your back and they do the contrary. So the dialogue is very important. And the one-on-one sometimes. And that's where the evaluation comes through. When you ask a child a few questions around a few values we have talked about, after a few days, you can easily tell they actually took it seriously or not through the answers they give. And somebody, one of the children or all of them can say to tell you, Daddy, from what we discussed, or Mommy, this is where I am. This I've done A, B, C, D. And they will tell you even the impact. Yeah, I did this to so and so, and she or he was very happy. And to you, that is an achievement as a parent. Yes.
Maybe what I'll add is a statement he likes to make. He likes to say, allow me to fail. And I think that when you transfer that to children, give them a chance to fail, it's also okay. Give them a chance to know that life is not just about always excelling.
Yes.
The example we have always used is the example of Gifted Hands. That book, Gifted Hands. We also have a movie at home. We show them that movie and that book, and we show them how that boy struggled, and then later becomes one of the best surgeons in the world. So how we encourage independence is by letting them try. There are sometimes we've allowed our children to go to particular celebrations, not because we agreed with it 100%, but because when we looked at the environment, we thought that, this is a teaching environment for the child. So it's okay to let them try out something. Some of the camps where we've sent them, much as we know the people who are managing them and all, we also know they are going to meet people who are very different. And we then ask, what happened? So as you give them the independence, be involved in the journey.
Exactly. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, be involved in the journey. Give them the independence, but be involved. We've allowed our children to take borders. We've allowed our children to go by taxi. Our children can go by taxi by themselves, all the way from Nansana to town.
Wow.
It can be problematic. There's a time actually we had an incident where one of them, a phone was robbed from them. A border took them off and robbed the phone in a very delicate situation, but anyway they managed to come back home. It was difficult, but we learned lessons from it. How do you just give a border guy that, let me direct you, and you give away your phone? So it was a learning point. Of course it was scary. I don't want parents to think that it was easy for us. No, it was difficult, it was scary, but it was a learning opportunity.
I know.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. And indeed, it's let them try each and everything. But also, I would want to know, you have trained your children, you have taught them different values, and they are mixing up with different people. How do you make sure they are not overpowered or overtaken or having their values compromised?
When we have these discussions and talk, there's a caution at the end of the discussion. Yeah, there are times, for example, I've told them, you see, you're teenagers now, and there are so many temptations.
Exactly.
They are friends. There's peer pressure. Do this. You can't be there without a girlfriend.
Exactly, and that's it.
And some of them have some children have been tempted beyond that point and getting into the acts. And I've questioned them and say, look here, some of your age mates actually were born with AIDS.
I know, that's true.
And any slight mess, you have signed up your life. So be cautious. We can't be there to police you wherever you are. We have given the liberty to go and mix with others, learn something. But remember, it is your life, not my life.
I know. Thank you very much. Our time is already spent. Say bye-bye to the viewers and then we will close the show.
Yeah, thank you very much for hosting us. Viewers, those who are viewing, we thank you for spending your time. Keep watching Family TV.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Byarugaba.
Thank you, Claire. Of course, our time is fast spent. To my fellow parents, thank you for watching. May God bless you. May God help you. May God give us the grace to keep parenting, because we are parenting for the world.
Well, thank you very much, Mrs. Byarugaba. To you, our dear viewer, thank you so much for loving the Family Hour, and thank you for loving Claire, your world's favorite host. I will be back next Friday, same time, same place. It is a very good night. God bless you.